tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Hi everyone, welcome to Dhamma Earth's Dose of Dhamma, and this is your dose of Dhamma for today. So we will continue about the discussion, Q&A about well-spoken speech. So another question is, Bande, how do we practice well-spoken speech at home? So sometimes when we are outside in the workplace, when we are in a function, we find that it is sometimes easy for us to be able to practice well-spoken speech and avoid unsuitable speech. But at home, sometimes it's the difficult case. Why? Because since young, for example, when the children want to speak to the parents, since young they have cultivated a kind of a habit. The parents will usually from top to down to their kids, especially in Asian families. Generally, of course not all Asian families. Then kids, when they are talking to their parents, sometimes even though the kids know what is going on in the modern world, but sometimes it's difficult to relate to the older generation. So we have what we call the generation gap, right? Some parents, when they have their kids at quite an old age, then they find that, when their kids are small, then they have some, especially during the teenage years, they find that it's difficult for the parents to relate to the kids, right? The top-down authoritarian approach doesn't work anymore. Yeah, so it's actually sometimes, for some people, it's more difficult to talk at home compared to outside. So I have also seen an article today. In Singapore, there are some people who are homeless. Yes, homeless. But why? Sometimes because they cannot stay with their family. Some people, they are pregnant and their family drives them out of the house, Some people have a problem communicating with their parents. Their parents are very, very strict and very, very fierce. And then their character may be also strong and stubborn and also quick-tempered. So there's lots of arguments and quarrels at home. So some people, because of this, they have no place to stay because maybe their parents drive them out of the house and all that. So, what can we do about it at home? How do we practice this kind of well-spoken speech? Well, very important thing is the Brahma Viharas. If one can practice and develop the Brahma Viharas, then before we speak to our parents, before the children speak to their parents, before the parents speak to their kids, if they're doing it with a mind of metta, then it will be easier to communicate. Isn't that so? Of course, sometimes that metta will have some attachments. If they never develop the metta properly, or they never even practice metta, then it's very easy, even though the kids or the parents, they say that, I love him, that's why I scold him. And the kids say, I love my parents, but they keep saying all this harsh speech to me, very fierce speech. Their words are not pleasant and all that. What to do? So the idea is, if one can practice the Brahma Viharas, and whenever one speaks, one always speak with a mind full of metta, then this is very good. For example, in the Suttas, in the Majjhima Nikaya, there were 3 practitioners practicing in the forest. So they were the Venerable Anuruddha, the Venerable Kimmila, and the Venerable Nandiya. So one time Buddha visited them and asked them, how are you guys? Are you guys practicing well? Are you guys living in harmony? So they say, the Blessed One, we are living in harmony. We relate to each other with loving kindness, whether it's publicly or privately, like that. So for us at home, if we can live out the qualities of these great beings, that means when we relate to our whether it's our parents or our children or our relatives, always with the Brahma Viharas. Remember, not only love, but loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Then we'll reduce the attachment that we have in our love to them. You will find that you will be able to love them better. And when you are able to love them better, you will have more restraint on the words that you use for them. Okay? So this is one way. But what happens if you are the only one practicing Brahma Viharas and your parents or your children, they are not, and they speak very harshly to you and all that, or they don't even believe in Buddhism? So what can we do? Well, one very good way is to establish a talking culture, a kind of a culture within the family when you're communicating. So in our monastery, whenever somebody has fallen into negative emotions in their mind, the negative emotions has arisen, or they are in some kind of an unwholesome mind state, then usually they keep quiet. If that issue is not urgent, usually they keep quiet. No? So this is one way that the organization has generally kept good harmony for the past 10 over years that we have been established. Of course, there will be some, sometimes some little bit of heat here and there, but generally the organization is quite harmonious. No? Of course, definitely will not be 100%, but generally it's pretty good to meditate in our monastery in Malaysia. So if you're quarreling and getting into arguments in the family and you're so sick and tired of these quarrels and arguments, then it's good that you guys can sit down and then ask each other, are you guys sick of the quarrels and arguments? Yes. Okay, how about this? We will only talk and we will only communicate when our mind is not affected by negative emotions. If you feel angry, if you feel disappointed, if you feel even a slight feeling of, anger, or you don't really feel like talking, you have that kind of a rejecting feeling in the mind, then keep quiet. Keeping quiet is better than saying unsuitable speech, right? But of course, don't do it with a passive aggressiveness. Some people, they keep quiet, but they are fighting a cold war with their relatives, within their family, and then it becomes like a passive aggressiveness. Of course, we should understand that because of not training the mind, the people around us will still get angry. But sometimes, if you don't want to speak, you can say in a nice way, say, I think I'm not in a condition to speak now. Let's talk about this later. It's not urgent. Let's talk about this later. Then you can go and you can use all the Dhamma methods to clear your emotions. Go and do some exercise, do some chanting, read some suttas, read some Dhamma books, listen to some Dhamma talks, meditate, do some walking meditation, etc. Then after you have used Dhamma, different Dhamma methods to clear your negative emotions, and you find that you are in a better position, a better mindset, and better feelings to discuss about this issue, then you can check with the other party. If they are ready to talk, then let's talk. Like that. So, if one can do this, then I think it can reduce quarrels and arguments in the family for at least 50%. 30 to 50%. Yeah, so this is one way that you can maintain harmony at home, and then also be able to practice this well-spoken speech easier compared to if you start talking at the spur of the moment. Then, usually those kind of words are hurting and sometimes it spoils relationship. Isn't that so? So Brahma Viharas and establishing a communication culture that if anyone in the family, if they are angry or their mind is in a negative emotion or unwholesome mind state, then should not talk until they clear their emotions, clear their feelings, and then check the other party. If the other party's mind is also clear and okay, then they are in a position to talk, then we can discuss about it. Then you'll find that in this way, the negotiations and the discussions will have a higher probability of succeeding, and you have a higher probability of coming to a better answer. It may not be the answer that you want, it may not be the outcome that you want, but at least you manage to go to the answer with less emotions, less tension in the family, and it definitely will help to preserve the relationship in the family. Alright? Okay, so this is your dose of Dhamma for today. So hopefully this sharing will be beneficial to all of you. I wish all of you to be well, peaceful and happy. And also, may the Triple Gem bless all of us to be able to attain path, fruition and Nibbana as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.